following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to the Chic, Chattin hour. This is Karen Testerman, and I hope that you're all staying safe and sane during this special period of our lives when we're sort of experiencing new and creative ways of doing various projects and activities that we normally do. Today, I am so very honored to have with us General Don Bolduc and his lovely wife, Sharon. And I think that they're still speaking to one another. How are things going with the two of you?
Well, I think things are great. What do you think, Sharon?
No complaints.
We're all good here.
We're still good.
Yep.
And Victor's
This is probably the most time we've ever spent together at once, though.
I think so. I think it's a record now. We have a full house, of course, with all our grandchildren here. And so it does get very hectic, but it's all good and we're doing fine.
So how many are there? It's not just you and Sharon in the house. Who all's there?
8 of us. There's 8 of us. Yep. And 2 dogs and 3 cats.
Yeah.
And everybody's still sane.
Yeah, everyone's still sane.
So.
Yeah, I think it's it's good. We got a playground thing that we're going to set up this weekend. That's that we ordered to come so we can have more stuff for the grandchildren to do outside. And that's code for so they can stay outside and not be inside. So.
Well, that's good, though, because you're building their immune system and they need that sunshine to get the vitamin D, how that goes.
Yes. It's, between walking the dogs and getting them out on their bicycles to go around the neighborhood loop, just trying to keep them active, keep their brains going. Puzzles are always good, but you got to get them outside. Everyone's got to get outside. That vitamin D is the best thing for you. It helps your immune system, as you noted, and makes you stronger. And that's how you fight viruses, and that's how you keep a good, healthy mind, body, and spirit.
Absolutely. I mean, when you get outside too, you relax a little bit more. The tension goes away, the panic goes away, and those are detrimental to your overall immune system. So, absolutely. So, you have a new project that you're launching. Tell us about it.
The veteran project, I think you're referring to?
Yes.
Yes. So, as you know, Sharon and I have stayed very busy since retirement now, a little over 30 months, supporting veterans in New Hampshire, New England, and across the United States. We sit on 7 different boards, all volunteer. Everything we do is volunteer. I've talked at a number of events, number of conferences. And Sharon and I provide, one-on-one counseling with veterans and their families about dealing with post-traumatic stress, TBI, about some of the therapy that I've gone through, and Sharon really helps out with the family aspect of it. So we bring that together. We've been doing that for a long time, and it's one of our passions. And so I worry about 3 components of our veterans that are struggling with post-traumatic stress, TBI, pain management, anything like that would cause them to. You're probably hearing crickets. I'm turning off my phone now. I'm not sure if you heard that or not. But anyways, socialization, diet, exercise, getting out there, not being able to do that, and just wanted to provide an additional venue to have veterans, sign up and talk to us using the Zoom capability, or the phone or Skype or whatever it is that they want to do. And that's been keeping me busy with about a couple veterans a day, fitting it into teaching full time, fitting it into the campaign schedule that we have. I think it's something that we could offer, and it's something that I think is working, and there is a little bit of a demand for it.
So back up a little bit, because you address post-traumatic stress a little bit differently than many people do. So talk to us about your perspective on that.
Well, I believe that post-traumatic stress is a mental injury, not unlike any other physical injury that you would have. I don't believe, it's just like a broken ankle, right? So you break your ankle, you go to the doctor puts you in a cast, you go through therapy afterwards, and boom, your ankle is, in most cases, good as new. The same thing with a mental injury. I wouldn't even call it expertise, but my experience lies with, post-traumatic stress that you experience due to, combat operations or some sort of, part of your military service. And I think it's hugely important to, one, destigmatize it, two, develop an understanding of it, and really get people comfortable with it's just your brain reordering itself. It's not a disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder is what is in the DSM-5. That's not how we consider it. And we don't consider it a disorder. And anyone will tell you your brain reorders it so it can deal with things. And post-traumatic stress, directly related to combat veterans, has everything to do with your brain reordering itself so you can stay alive more than one day in combat, right? And if you don't have that, then, the odds of you getting killed or injured, increase exponentially. The problem is when you come home and you try to reintegrate, and if you're not taught reintegration skills, if you're not given therapy, if you're not taught that the things you're experiencing is normal, then you're going to do some destructive things that have to do with alcohol and drugs, or other behaviors. You're going to isolate yourself, and you're just going to become more and more distant. You're going to create problems in your personal and professional life.
Correct. And so it reminds me a little bit like when you do break a bone or you get corrective surgery on some part of your body, you go to physical therapy to help rebuild the muscles and so forth. So what you're saying is that with a brain injury, you have to rebuild some of those pathways and retrain your brain to be able to compensate for the experience it's had. So Sharon, how did you handle when the general or Don first came home and you started to realize that he was suffering from something more than just a normal rotation home?
Right. It actually took a couple of years, to be honest, Karen, because his deployment tempo was so high that he would go away and come home, and we would just have a very short time together before he was getting ready to deploy again. So, at first it's easy to dismiss it. You think, well, they're just kind of, acclimating again. And then it's the build up, the anticipation for another deployment, because they know it's coming. They're on a cycle, So it's easy to excuse some of those behaviors and think it's something different. But over time, you start putting the pieces together. It's not a condition where you wake up one day, at least for me, and say, oh, Dawn has PTS, it wasn't like that at all. So it's more just observing, putting the pieces together and discussing. I mean, we talked about it a lot, and I did a lot of research on my own. Being a nurse, I had access to a lot of medical information. Mental health was something I started in nursing school, so it was something that I've always been interested in, and I just put it all together and then started having a serious discussion about it with him. And he didn't want to listen at first, of course, because it's like, no, I'm good, I got this, but after a while it's clear, I guess. I don't know, to Dawn, he could speak to when it became clear to him, but I didn't let down either. It was a constant. Every time we had a problem, I'd say, can we just talk about this? Can you look at these facts with me and on the computer and just talk about it? And finally he just agreed. I mean, he knew, but like I said, it's a process. It's not something that happens immediately,
Well,
but
and
behavior changes don't go away, so.
right. And Don, I'm sure that you were, what's the word I want? Conflicted yourself, because you want to be strong for for your men, that the unit that you're serving with, etc. And yet you want to be able to be that provider at home. And so trying to admit that maybe there's a weakness there is probably a real challenge.
Well, it is a real challenge because the climate in the military at the time, and this was really before 2010, was, hey, you don't talk about that stuff, you just deal with it. And every single era of combat veterans, had to deal with the same type of climate, right, and circumstances. And we do studies on those combat eras, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and we see the dysfunction that's caused, right? And when when I meet and I talk with family members, first thing they do is, after I'm done talking at an event, is come up to me and say, wow, you're so right. And I saw it in my father, my uncle, my grandfather. And it's unfortunate because it's something that we can really deal with effectively. You can be very, very high functioning. That's not the issue. With it, the issue is, are you a better version of yourself, or a good version of yourself, or the best version of yourself? And have you, do you have the ability to be able to operate and function inside your personal and professional life? Because those lines are blurred, right? There's, if you're not acting well at home, you're not going to act well at work either, right? And there's a bleed over, and vice versa. And so this happens in all kinds of professions, and it's not that difficult to deal with. We got all kinds of programs out there. We got all kinds of people talking about it. But what we don't have is a good approach to destigmatize and develop an understanding. You break your ankle, you go to work, people are like, oh, how can I help you? Let me know if you need a cup of coffee. Let me know if I can get you something. You get identified with post-traumatic stress and you go to work, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. That guy or gal has post-traumatic stress, stay away, and then if people know you have post-traumatic stress and you get upset at the Patriots losing a football game, they go, oh, yeah, he's got post-traumatic stress, right? They don't associate that with,
I'm just mad.
I'm just angry that the Pats lost, right? Yeah. Especially when they lose to the Broncos. No one likes that, So it is what it is, right? The approach is key.
Yeah. So, how do you actually convey to someone who is suffering from, say, someone who's going through this, and you're just someone, a friend, or even a family member, how do you best approach something like this? What's the
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's not one size fits all, but what's the best way to address it?
Well, that's the most difficult piece, right? And that's where, you just have to be honest. Like Sharon was always honest with me, and she always did it. Well, before 2010, there was no way I was ever going to say anything because it was the kiss of death, right? By 2013, when I agreed to go for help, there was a little bit more acceptance, but it still had a stigma, right? And I still, as a general officer, paid a price for, coming forward and saying, I have post-traumatic stress, I have traumatic brain injury, I had pain management issues, I have sleep disorder, I'm getting treated for all those things. Now I'm a much better version of myself. It's incumbent upon me as a commanding general to ensure that my people have the same opportunity I had, right? And so I came, I'm still the only active duty general in the Army to come out and say, hey, I dealt with these things. This is the problems they caused. This is how how I manage them. And I need to make sure you have the same opportunity. And we had a lot of people that we helped in a 26-month period. Made a huge difference in families, and, a lot of people. However, still paid a price for it, right? I mean, I was told by my higher ups to stop talking about it. Their ideas were the more you talk about it, the more problems we have. No, you already have the problems. The more we talk about it, the better we understand the problem and the more effective we can be. So, when you talk to somebody, you just got to be straightforward with them. But the family member might not have the success that you need. Maybe someone outside the family. I mean, I know Sharon and I have helped a number of people, and it took me sitting down with them and saying, hey, listen, I have been in your place. I have dealt with this. This is what I did, right? And 9 times out of 10, what is really the problem that has to be overcome is they're taking too many medications, because that's the default mechanism. And so my first advice to anyone is, you go to a doctor and you tell them you got post-traumatic stress, or you think you have post-traumatic stress. They tell you, yes, you do. And the first thing they want to put you on is medication. Turn around, walk out the door, and go see somebody else. Because medication is not going to do it. And you may need medication later, but not up front, right?
That's been our experience.
That's been our experience. Yeah. And I tell you, we have an example of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when we were this stellate ganglion block therapy that we're known for in discussing it on 60 Minutes, one of the service members that we were talking with and their family, the wife said, hey, I made you an appointment. We're driving down to Washington, D.C. I've already packed the car. Get your butt in the car. You're driving down there and you're going to get it. Now, this guy went from total seclusion to not wanting to get up, to not wanting to do his job, to not wanting to be with his family, to being suicidal, to not engaging with his kids, to a complete reversal. Yeah. And we get a phone call and it's like, hey, he wants to go out to dinner, and he wants to go out to dinner with everybody, with friends. And then COVID-19 hit, and now we can't go out to dinner with anybody, right? So hopefully we can pick this up after we get cleared and we can all go sit down and have dinner. But this is a huge step for this individual and his family, and they're now very functional. And so that's how she took control of it,
Right. So this is basically what you're doing now, though. If somebody has a problem, if someone's it doesn't have to be post-traumatic stress. It just has to be you need somebody else to talk to, and you need some help in some way. This is what you're addressing primarily with your veterans. And
Exactly.
So how does somebody find out that you're doing this? Are you advertising it anywhere? Are you, is it word of mouth? How do we find out about this?
So we've got it out on Facebook. We've got it out on Instagram. We got it out on social media. We have it out, everywhere that we possibly can. I can tell everybody right now that if you send an email to, if you're a veteran, family member, you want to talk to me or Sharon or both of us, you can go to Sandy, SANDY, at Don Bolduc, DONBOLDUC.com. Send a note. We'll get it all hooked up for you. No problem.
Great. Now you are running for U.S. Senate, right? I
am.
And you are, okay. And how is that functioning with the current stay-at-home orders and so forth?
Well, it really interferes with the, traditional way you campaign here in New Hampshire, and that's grassroots, getting out, getting coffee breath close with everybody, shaking hands, meeting people. That's the funnest part about running for office, to be honest with you. And that's my answer when everyone asks me, so are you having fun? Yes. Okay. What's the funnest part? Well, it's getting out there and meeting people, and it's getting to see New Hampshire. I was, the only candidate running that actually gave that answer. But that is the best part, right?
And I agree with you, by the way.
Now everybody's given that answer. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. But, so you have to we're doing it virtually, right? My days are packed with Zoom calls with people, right? I love it. It's like, 1 o'clock, then 2 o'clock, then 3 o'clock, then 4 o'clock, then 5. That's how my afternoon was stacked up today, right? I taught this morning from 8 o'clock to 12 noon, and then starting at 1, boom, 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 I was, engaging with people. And so we have to do it that way. And, just adapt, overcome, keep going, keep moving forward. We'll come out on the other side of this, and we'll hit the ground running. And
right.
So
Sharon, what are you doing to help? Because I know you were very instrumental in working on the campaign to start off with. So what have you been doing since he's now on Zoom all the time?
Yeah, pretty much I'm sitting right here next to him. I still show my support by showing up. I'm here, no matter what and under what circumstances. So being home it's a little bit different because now I'm being grandma to, 3 little ones. And I do that a little more. Yeah. And sometimes mom to the 2 boys that are here. But, really, I sit with them. Even if I say nothing, it's just I want to show that I'm here still supporting my husband and in this campaign. And we're in it 100%, no matter what. So
that's excellent. So there been a highlight that you've in your exchanges since you're inside. You're not out. You're not necessarily at a town meeting or anything like that. Has there been a special highlight for you that you can remember over the last 3 or 4 weeks?
Geez, I don't know. Can you think of anything? Not really. Highlight.
You mean a highlight like on doing a town hall or something like that?
I'm not really sure.
Right.
There's one highlight in our life that we have.
We have a new dog.
We have a new dog.
Do?
We adopted a German Shepherd, military working dog.
An explosives.
That that specialty is to find explosives with experience, service in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so over the last couple of weeks, we've been integrating Bara, B-A-R-A, into the household. She's awesome. Victor loves her. And Victor now has a buddy to play with out in the yard, so it's good for downtime. She's standing there looking at me. She knows I'm talking about her. But it's really funny. On Easter Sunday, we had Easter on for the kids, right? And so we have 3 grandchildren. So the front yard was divided into 3 areas because we couldn't have a free-for-all because we didn't want the older grandchild taking eggs from the younger grandchild, So they had their separate areas. So Bara goes outside ahead of time before the Easter egg hunt. And because when she goes outside, she circles around the house and she's like
checking the perimeter
for explosives. It's funny to watch her. And she does it around cars too. Well, she found every single Easter egg outside, sat down next to it. Oh, good job, Bara. And then she'd go off and find another one, sit down next to it. It was hilarious to watch, But
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that is. That's a great thing. So we have 1 minute left. Is there a special message that you want to leave with our watching audience?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity. Yes. Thank you so much. And I want just to say that, everybody, we're all in this together and we're all going to get out of this together and we'll be stronger for it and we'll keep moving forward. So just please stay healthy and stay safe. And I look forward to getting back to,
shaking
business
hands,
as usual, right?
meeting people.
Right.
Shaking hands and meeting people.
And being smart.
Both of us are looking forward.
Exactly. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining. That's okay. Thank you so much for joining me, Karen Testerman, on the Chic Chattin Hour. And I hope that everyone does stay safe and sane and take care of yourself.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.